Hello, hello, and welcome to episode
Hello.
3 of Anatomy of a Puzzle. This is where we're going to discuss setting and solving through the lens of a particular puzzle. And I'm Malrog, and I'm the setter of the puzzle we'll be looking at today. And with me is Scojo, who will be solving it.
Hello.
I've been setting since about 2022. I've made many puzzles, most of which you can find on Logic Masters Germany. I've made other puzzles for the UK Puzzle Association Sudoku Championships. I'm fairly active on the CTC Discord, a few others, and importantly for the channel that we're on, I'm hoping to get to SudokuCon 26, because I believe we're hoping for it to be in the United Kingdom. So that'll be good. How about you, Scojo?
Hello, I'm Scojo. I stream puzzles, I set puzzles. I have a Twitch channel, Scojo Solves. If you guys want to check that out, I stream multiple times a week. And I've been setting for roughly about the same time, end of 2021. 2022 is when it started.
Okay, cool. So, firstly, the plan is to open the puzzle live on stream, so Scojo hasn't seen this one yet. One of the reasons I was keen to do this is to get that initial impression, his initial thoughts. So I'm going to switch over to the scene with the puzzle in. There we go. This is not the puzzle, this is a blank grid. The puzzle will appear in it momentarily, I hope, if everything goes to plan. There it is!
Ooh.
Hey, it worked.
Very symmetrical.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
First thoughts?
obviously lots of arrows. A lot of short arrows. I don't think I see any 3-cell long arrows. It's all 2 and 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What's your initial thought just looking at the grid?
Well, my initial thought is we don't have a ton of breaks in symmetry.
Yeah.
So these 2 arrows, obviously this one is tilted down in box 2. And then where else? Is that it?
There's one other.
That might be it.
There's one other down in row 8. But yeah, looking at the grid, just seeing that grid, if you just happen to be
Right.
scrolling through Logic Masters or Discord or whatever, and you see that grid, does it look appealing? Does it look terrifying? Somewhere in the middle? What's your feeling about it?
I'm generally a fan of symmetry, so I'm always curious to see how well a puzzle uses symmetry to do the same but kind of different ideas in different parts of the grid.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when the break point is going to be.
Yeah.
I imagine I'm going to be doing similar logic on the left and the right for, I'd probably say, the first half of the puzzle.
Oh, we'll see how you go with that. Do you think, how important are the initial impressions of your grid, would you say, as a setter?
I think they're important. I've made puzzles that look ugly visually, and they don't get as much attention as puzzles that look very clean and intriguing, I think.
Okay.
Clue distribution. If a grid has not a ton of white space, like all clustered in one area, but sort of a homogeneous distribution of clues. I think that looks better. And is a little less off-putting than if I saw a bunch of clues just on the left half of the grid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's encouraging how quickly you saw, oh, wow, thank you, Tallcat. Gifting subs. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Yeah, I find it encouraging that you saw the almost symmetry very quickly, because, as Polfly says, not unreasonably, the grid, you could consider the grid to look quite messy. I've had that thought before. In fact, one of the comments on LMD is about the grid, and to say, don't worry about what the grid looks like, it's actually an okay puzzle. Before you get into solving it, though, I want to just call out why I chose this puzzle for you to solve, because obviously I had my back catalogue and it was like, which one should I do? And there are a few reasons for it. One is, we haven't done a single constraint puzzle on Anatomy of a Puzzle yet. Other options that I had in my back catalogue overlapped with, there was a hybrid option, but we've done that before. There was a new constraint, but we've done that before. So I thought, let's do something new. Secondly, I've got lots of notes from when I set this one. That's not always the case with my puzzles, but in this case it is, which is helpful for being able to kind of look back and remind myself my thought process as I was doing this. It isn't necessarily my best puzzle. I know not every puzzle can be your best, and I think that's something worth talking about. It's like, and we'll see what people have to say. I'm not precious about it. I think it's decent. I think there's some interesting moments in it, and I think we'll get on to solving it. But first, why did I set it? There's a little bit of backstory. The inspiration came from Nevario's handshake puzzle, which is another arrow puzzle, which was the result of a challenge from Totally Normal Cat. Now, the challenge was to make a pure arrow puzzle without min-max logic. And for those who are unsure what that means, I can demonstrate for you. The idea being, if you have, for example, this sort of setup, let's see, like that, and that probably, and then if you've got this sort of setup, then you count the number of arrow cells in these three columns, and you find that there's 2, and there's 4 here, and there's 6 here. So that's 21 minimum, plus 10 minimum, plus 3 minimum, which is 34. And it just so happens that the maximum possible value for these is 34 as well. So you end up with 8 9s there, with 1 2 there, with 7 8 9 there, and 4 5 6 down here. There's lots and lots of puzzles that do that sort of thing, and there's nothing wrong with it. But that was the challenge, was to avoid that sort of mathematical min-maxing. So what I did was I decided to, as you've noticed, only use 2 cell arrows or 1 cell arrows, less than 3 basically, to try and help me not fall into the trap or not do that sort of thing. And I wanted to use geometry for this as well.
Sure.
So those were the sort of thoughts I had when going into this. I wonder whether I succeeded in avoiding the min-maxing and all of that. I think we'll find as we go. So I think with that, I think we should probably start solving. So I'm going to be quiet for a bit and let Scojo do his thing.
All right. So one of the first things that stands out to me, on the left and the right, we have this sequence of arrows where the sum of this arrow is on this arrow. The sum of this arrow is on this arrow. And so we've kind of created basically a four cell arrow summing to this, right? So I think so. So we could say if that sums to some red number, we can just replace red there, and now we're looking at those two, which sum to this. But then we could also, like, we could replace red, and then that's the same equivalent sum to get this total. And then this arrow here, that is the sum of row 7, column 1, and row 8, column 2. We could express that as the sum of red plus yellow plus blue. And what that means is that there has to be a repeat digit, because if there wasn't, 1, 2, 3, 4 adds to 10. I can't put a 10 in this cell. So somewhere within red and blue and yellow, there has to be a repeat. And so I think these are actually going to be the same digit, which have to be from 1, 2, and 3. And so we're going to get a total of 7, 8, 9 here. And it's going to be symmetrical on this side as well.
Good start. Good start, yeah.
Do know that this, I could say that those are 6, 7, and 8 maximum. What do I know? I know red and green are going to be a maximum of 5 each. I could have 2 5 and then 2 1s to sum to 9. What else do I see? I'm curious because I've sort of pencil marked pretty close to this first break in symmetry, but I don't know how useful that's going to be yet. I have one cell marked on these two arrows, which are not symmetrical, which is interesting. I do see that this cell is in row 8. Which could be useful.
So something might be worth me mentioning is I like to try and wring every last ounce out of clues and things like that.
Sure.
So there is a little bit more you can do with those blue or yellow cells.
All right. Let's think about that. Well, obviously they can't both... Like, these digits can't be the same as these digits. So, if one side had a 1 as blue, say, yellow would be forced up to 2, which increases this to a minimum of 7 and a minimum of 8. Although, no, it would be 7 and 9, wouldn't it? So if these are both 1, this is now at least 2 bigger than this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we would force it to be, I'm not just going to show it like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? If blue were 1s. And what would that tell me? Because I'd be removing 7 from here and 9 from here.
Would yellow have to be 2?
I think it would, wouldn't it? Because it's not 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but this... I think it could still be 6, couldn't it? Right, yeah, that was not true, because I could have a 1-3 pair there.
A what, sorry?
a 1-3 pair,
Yeah.
or a 1-2 pair. If this was a 3, I could go to 6-9. Okay,
Think about that again. If you got a 1-2 pair, how does that work? Box 6.
I'll remove. Oh, in box 6. Oh, of course. I've been ignoring the intermediate cells here, but that does matter. I can't make this 6 ever, because that would require 1, 2, 3 here. Oh well, unless it's 1, 3, 4, 2, 6.
Yeah.
2, 8.
Yeah. That's fine.
So if there's a 6, then we would have an 8. But it does actually mean that we can never get to a total of 7 in row 9. Because 6 would always go with an 8. Or 6 would have to go with an... no, it would always go with an 8, wouldn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The point really is that... oh, I didn't mean to do that. The point really is that you can't put 3 in that cell.
Right.
Because then you end up
true. Yes.
going over the top for your corner.
Yeah, once this is 3, it would be forced to be 6, 9. And then, obviously, we're...
and then you end up with 2 3s in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we have a 1-2 pair in each of these rows, then.
Mm-hmm.
So we know 6 would go with 8. What would... And we know this... the 6 would use a 2 in its blue or yellow. So... what about the 1? Because one of them is going to be a 1, either blue or yellow. And that's not going to be the arrow with 6 in row 7.
Mm-hmm.
So now that wouldn't be 8, and that wouldn't be 6. But do we have to have a 6, 2, 8 arrow? Can we have 7, 2, 9, 2, 1, 4, 5? I think we could. But what would that do here? That would make 8, 9.
All right. Before you go much further, I'm gonna just have a little talk about this break-in from you found the main initial point, which is that you've got the 1-2 pairs. So I'm just gonna swap back and show the very first setup that I had here. Just because I thought this was interesting to talk about. From the very beginning, I mean, Scojo, you spotted it really quickly that there was this chain, and there were so you could, although you didn't have any individually long arrows, they were collectively long, and this was my very first thing. I'm not sure why I had the little arrow in the top there. This is just from my notes. I happen to have this, and you can see I thought, well, what about having two chains, one from the bottom and one from the top, and then mirror it, because at the time I was a slave to symmetry. And this one had some interesting properties. This red cell here has to be in one of these two places because it's on both long arrows. This long arrow here, so this red cell, it contributes to the sum of this, which contributes to the sum of this, which contributes to the sum of this, and similarly up here. So this red cell had to be here or here, which was like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, and it's obviously the same over here. This one is in one of those two, and I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I couldn't really see much more in here. I couldn't see, well, what else is there? And I thought, have I missed something? Because I'm not the world's greatest solver, and maybe there's something there that I can use. So I turned on the solver, and apparently all of that, right? That's me using the true candidates without any logical deductions applied. It's just brute forced it. And apparently this one has to be here. And in fact, this 2-4 is here, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. And maybe a more advanced solver than me could see it, but I spent a bit of while looking at it, and it was quite a long chain to figure out why it was like this. And in fact, if I turn on the logical solver, for those who don't know, the logical solver colours the digits red if they're not possible there, but it doesn't eliminate them from the cell unless it knows it can't be there. Like, it knows this can't be an 8 or a 9 logically, but using the logical solver here, you can see there's just nothing logically deducible by the solver, and to be honest, by a human as well. I thought it was interesting. I liked the fact that there was a 1 here and a 1 here, and I was like, oh, why is that? And I did do a bit of digging and found something interesting, but it was too long and convoluted a what if chain. So I tried something else, which is what you see in the puzzle. And I think the important point I wanted to make here really is that the computer solver is a useful tool, but you must always remember that your puzzle will be solved by humans.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can get back to the puzzle now, and you can have a think further about this.
Sure. Well, I think there's probably more I can do with red and green.
You were kind of there before, actually.
Yeah.
What you were talking about, right? So one of these has to be 2, which means, I mean, there's a sort of a parity argument that can be made, that when the difference between the digits is 2, then they're going to both be even.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take both sides in kind of, either one alone you can't do any eliminations, but with the 2 of them together, you do actually end up.
Oh, I see. Of course. So, if the side with the 1s ultimately resulted in an 8, then by Sudoku this would be a 9, and we would try to put 2 7s in row 7.
Yeah.
So it is going to be the 9 goes with the 1, and the 2 goes with the 8. And so we'll get those for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to keep doing it this way for now, until I can definitively say which way the symmetry goes.
Okay.
It's easier for me to do that than to pencil mark 2 cells. And I know some people will consider that bifurcation, but
yeah, it's not bifurcation. It would be on pencil, on paper.
yeah, true. Um, but it's a lot easier for me to see it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So these two need to sum to 7. If we had a 3-4 pair, we'd get a 3 X-Wing, which is interesting. I can write the 7 in there. And I do see these arrows that are basically the same digit in rows 4 and 5. Those are going to have to appear in one of these two cells. They're not going to sum to 1 because this is a 2-cell arrow, which is, I guess, now a minimum of 3, 5. Oh, and this one, the other one is a minimum of 3, 6. Whichever one is, say, 3, 5. So I think we do have to have a 3 with a 4, 5 pair. Sorry, a 5, 6 pair.
So that's the first real digit.
And, yeah, and we get our 8s and 9s.
Yep, that's all good there.
Now, because this sees an 8-9 pair, it is now maxed out at 7. So it could be 4, 5, or 7.
It can't be 5.
1, 2. It can't be 5 because there's a 5 in the box. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
1 and 4 there.
Yeah, so those were the next arrows I put in the grid. Were the 8, 9 ones. Hang on, I've just remembered I can highlight these. So yes, so these ones were the next ones I put in the grid because of the quintuple in here, which I realised I wanted to make use of. And then when I realised that the 3 was here and that this cell was low, well, could only be 4 or 7 really. This was an interesting arrow. So I put that was the next arrow I put in. So what I was doing really was, and it's no coincidence that the solve path is following the setting path. This is how it goes. I'm finding where there's tension, where there's kind of areas that you can put a clue into that could be interesting. So yeah.
And I do think this arrow is interesting, especially now when we consider this arrow.
Yep.
Because if I were to make this a 4, then what is this digit? It sees a 1, 2, 3, and a 4. It would have to be at least 5, but I can't put a 9 in this cell. So I think we do know that that is how it goes. I think this could be a 5 or a 6, summing to 6 or 7.
Yep. It won't surprise you to know that was the next arrow I put in. And at that point, it was quite interesting. So maybe I'll swap back again.
Sure, yeah.
One moment while I bring up the right thing. Oh. There we go. Okay, so we were at this point where we had all the pairs and the 3 here, and I realised that an arrow here was very productive, and then an arrow here was equally interesting and productive. And at this point it was like, well, what can I do now? I've got quite a lot of the grid left. As you've shown that this is a 4, this is a 1, and then there's a bit of uncertainty down here, and this was where I was, and I thought, well, again, have I missed something? So I it's not going to give too much away to you, I'm sure, but I turned on the candidates, and there was nothing. And so I thought, oh, that's no good. And so I went back to aesthetics, and I saw the shape of these arrows here, and I thought, I'll reflect that in here. So I put that in, and that caused a surprising result, which I won't show you yet because you haven't got there. But I wanted to mention it because I thought it's like I was using the aesthetics and the solver happened to show me something interesting, and actually, well, we'll see it in a bit, but the solver showed me this interesting... Oh, I've realised it. There you go, I'm back on. The solver showed me something interesting, but I didn't immediately believe that it was reasonable for a human, so we'll probably come back to that in a minute. But let's swap back to the solving for now.
I think
put a 1 in.
I think at this point I'm getting close to this symmetry here, and that is where I'm scared to sort of continue my two-sided solve here. So I think I will return all of these.
So this is another point. I mean, that is a useful solving technique to do, and I've seen people do it before. As the setter, you always have a question: is like, how much bookkeeping do you want to force your solver to do?
Yeah.
And so I kept on putting clues in that were fairly symmetrical, and I'll run through the setting process in a bit, but I was always conscious that you don't really want to be causing grief just for having to write extra digits in the grid. It's not extra logic, it's just extra pencil marks. So the break of the symmetry does come reasonably soon, but there's a little bit more first.
It's definitely because I don't like to do a ton of what I just did when I'm solving, but it's harder for me to remember that in either column 2 or 8, the 4 is going to be going with the 2s, right, and the 7 is going to be going with the 1s. That's not super apparent just from these pencil marks, but I agree. Bookkeeping a lot of stuff is never fun.
Yeah.
What I can see, my pencil mark 8s. That's not going to help, but I saw it. I did also see that one of these two is going to be 1, depending on which side is which.
Because you've either got a 1-3 on the arrow, or you've got a 1 in the pair.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'll kind of look in like this to either box 7 or box 9.
Yeah.
These two cells, I'm noticing now, are a minimum of 3 each.
Yeah.
And these two are a minimum of 2 each. So we're already at a minimum of 5 for one side of this. But let's put that in as 3-4 and then a 2-3 pair, because that's a minimum of 7 plus a minimum of 5 divided by 2 is 6.
Yeah.
So we can't actually increase these much more than that. If we did increase one of these to 5, that actually does force this to be 6. And then we would have 7.
So do you remember when I said earlier about how I kind of ring a lot out of the clues? I suggest having a bit more of a think about those cells.
Red and green.
Yeah, the red and green. One of them's 1-3.
I do.
But what can the 7 be?
Well, I was thinking it could be 3-4. If
It could be.
3 was on the bottom. I was thinking it could be 2-5.
Yeah.
One of those would be an issue, clearly.
Well, there's something it can't be. More importantly, the 7. If you
1-6.
It can't be 1-6 because the digit next to the 7 is a 1.
Okay, so we're probably asking then where 6 goes in that box. Or where 6 goes in this row. Because it's not in box 5. We've got a 5-6 pair. We know it's not on green or red. So the side with the 7 then looks like that.
Yep. So this is one of the steps in the puzzle that makes me slightly unsure about it. It's a perfectly fair step, it's just not very well telegraphed, I would say. Some people might think it's wonderful, some people might see it straight away. This is one of those ones that I had to convince myself was acceptable in the puzzle. Because what you've actually got with the 6s in columns 1 and 9 in row 6, yeah,
is an X-wing.
You do.
Okay. What is that going to do for me? Well, maybe then I ask about 6 in row 4. It would have to be in one of those two places, right? Or specifically opposite.
Yeah.
And I know that I will have 6 and 8, in some way looking up columns 1 and 9.
If I say row 8,
triple, right?
Yeah, it's 1, 2, 7. If I say row 8, yeah.
Sure. Right, okay. I mean, because none of these are going to be 6. And it's obviously not appearing in column 9 again. Okay. That makes sense.
So that's the deduction, is this X-wing on 6s kind of tells you that the arrow at the bottom is a 7.
Yeah.
And then places the 6.
Okay.
So I'm just going to swap back to the other scene for a sec, because I want to talk about that for a moment. Keep doing that. Because this is where we were. And I said, right, I'm going to add those mirroring arrows. Like that and like that. Because so they were there, and that caused the deduction that you saw, where there's a 6 there now suddenly. So I just put those arrows in thinking, oh, that'll look pretty, and then suddenly it said, oh, there's a 6 and a 7, and I had to use the solver to help me understand why. It's like, why is there a 6? Why is this? And indeed, it was about this X-wing, which I really, really liked as a deduction. I liked how it forced 6 in here, and then that gave you the 6 and all the rest of it. It was pretty cool. But I was trying to figure out how do you show this to people? How do you encourage people to realise this? So that's why there are arrows there and there and there and there. The arrows, the longer of those arrows, that's there because I wanted to draw the solver's eye to that cell. I've done it again. Yeah, puzzles. I wanted to draw the solver's eye to this and to this, you see. So I thought, let's put a clue there, then they'll look at it. Doesn't work so well in this puzzle because there's a lot of them. And it's a bit hard to actually kind of help the solver look in a particular place. Now,
yeah, it certainly isn't like my instinct at this point to start looking at individual digits and asking where they go, unless I've pencil marked a lot of them. And I feel like at that point I hadn't really pencil marked a lot of 6s.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But
it's totally fair now that I look at it.
Yeah.
It's not a hard step. It's just like hidden.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways you can think about difficulty in a puzzle, aren't there? And one of the ways you can increase the difficulty is by a lack of telegraphing, or rather, telegraphing will reduce the difficulty of a puzzle. It just is one way of. It is the nicer way to think about it. If you want to make your puzzle hard, make the solver look all over the place. And you just put a 2 in.
Oh, I saw making single. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. It is. That's one of the reasons I put those little arrows in, was to get that 2 in place. I thought, that would be helpful, because it also gives you a 1-7 pair in here. And in this puzzle, I was all about the pairs around this central axis. Every time I could get a pair there, it was like, oh, that's cute. Now, it doesn't give away too much, so I'm going to show this. The amount that, so once again, I put in these clues to see what it did, and it gave me a 6, and I was like, why? And then I figured out why, and I put these arrows in, and I was like, right, I want to draw the attention to here, so I'll put these arrows in. And I'm only going to do a 2-cell arrow, so where's it going to go? I could just go straight up, like this, and that breaks, so that's no good. I had choices, but I think probably my first option was this, and it did quite a lot on the grid. It's not very clear here because I'm not running with the logical solver, but yeah, it doesn't really help. The arrows could have done this. No, they couldn't, apparently. What? Yeah, I'm sure they used to be able to do that. Bear with me. Was it when I'd done that? That's right, it's before I'd put the small arrows in. My apologies. So the arrows could have done this, but I didn't like that because of the cosmetics. It's like, well, is this a 3-cell arrow now? Which I don't know. And because I didn't want to put in a clue that was too powerful, but like I say, when you put those 2 in, you can see how much changes in the grid. There's a lot of pairs now, which once the symmetry's broken is essentially all cleared up and done. So I was a little hesitant about putting in these clues in this shape. There were other options. I could have put this arrow like this, and I did that and was absolutely blown away. I was like, oh, okay, obviously I can't do that symmetrically because of what's going on over here. This will just not work. It was very surprising to me that arrow did that. But I rejected that one because I wanted to keep the symmetry. There were other options like this, which were less impactful overall on the grid, and this is one of the points I wanted to make, I'm looking at this top band and it's looking very empty, and I'm concerned that the end of the puzzle is going to be just a little bit boring, because you're not going to be able to have much in the way of interesting deductions when you've only got 3 rows to work with. So I wanted to get into that top area.
It could almost feel like 2 separate puzzles, right?
Yeah, very much.
You do the bottom 6 rows, and then once you're done with those, then you can do the second puzzle in the top 3.
Yeah. So, for reasons that I can't remember now, this doesn't work. I mean, I guess just because of numbers. But so in the end, that was, although they were powerful, like almost too powerful, I thought that's okay. It's a big payoff once the solver finds the X-wings. If they're doing the pencil marking, there's a lot that they can pencil mark. A lot they can get once they find that X-wing, and I mean, like I say, the X-wing was there anyway. These arrows don't create the X-wing. The X-wing's there already. It's just a matter of trying to highlight it, and in so doing, serendipitous really, I was able to kind of make significant inroads on the actual solution of the puzzle. It's not completely overpowered. The number of solutions at this point is 2,320, so it's not overkill, but yeah. So that was where those arrows came from, and if we want to go back to solving now, let's see where we go from here.
So don't pencil mark that 1-7 pair that I was staring at.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am thinking about row 5 and what remains. We've already said that the 6 is going to be in one of those. And so the remaining digits are 2, 3, and 5. I think very clearly neither of the arrow circles are going to be 2, because the 2 would place a 1, and I can't place a 1 there.
Yeah.
So now that we definitely have a 2 in either red or green, that was the 2-5 option for the 7.
Yeah.
And actually, it'll be 5 on top with a 1 for the 1-3 version. So the 5-6 pair, the 5 would have to go with 1 and 4. The 6 would need another 1-5. And yeah. I'm sort of cheating because I did see what the candidates for these cells were in the puzzles, but I know that these can't be 5, and my question then was why. So if this was a 5, 1, 6, where would I put 5 in this box? And it would have to go there, but we already have a 1-5 pair in the row.
I saw that one a slightly different way. The 5 has to be in the same box as the 4. Looking at the arrow bulbs.
Yeah. Because the 7 is with the 6, so the 5 is with the 4.
Yeah. So if the 5 is with the 4, you know that the top cell is a 1.
Right.
So it has to be a 4 on the tip. So the 5 has to be 1, 4.
Oh, and right. So the 6 would never be 1, 5 in that direction.
Yeah, because you've got the 1 on the top from the... Yeah.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this now, because we have both of these cells pencil marked. And, I mean, it's a maximum of 6, but we can't make 6... Or it's a maximum of 7, we can't make 6 or 7 here.
Yeah.
So
once again, I'm putting a bulb on a low cell.
Yeah.
Because these were the arrows. This was the point where I was like, right, okay, now it's time. The solver's done enough work. They need to disambiguate. We need to disambiguate this. So I did have some mirroring 1-cell arrows there that were mirroring the ones in the upper box. So I did have some arrows that were going from here to here and just across that gap, and same on the other side. And they weren't really doing much other than looking pretty. And so I thought, well, can I use that in a different way? This seems like a nice area to try and create some disambiguation. Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, I want to see where this takes me.
Yeah, go for it.
Because that's not going to be 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to be 2. And that is a 3-4 pair looking at this cell.
And there it is.
Yeah, that's
Didn't
cool.
even need
like
the arrow on the other side.
No.
And in fact, you can probably realise that if that's why it's asymmetric, is because
it can't exist like this.
Yeah, because as soon as a number is forced on one side by a certain layout of clues, you can't have the same layout on the other side, because then the same number would be forced in there by symmetry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why that arrow is a different shape. Yeah, you can now undo all your pencils.
Pretty much. Alright, so... Well, what did that do, actually?
You got these two as well.
Oh, my 8, 9. Yeah, there it is. Which puts an 8 there. I think I could have a 9 in here. The other one is 2, 3, 4. Could this be? Maybe.
So I gave you a bit, but not all of it, didn't I? We still haven't unwound those initial starting points, and I was quite pleased actually to find that. It's just I didn't want the whole thing to just fall apart. But yeah, the other, if you keep marking in box 8, you probably make some more progress.
Yeah. Because I know that, again, the 3-4 pair stares at this cell, as does the 1-2. And we get the 9 there.
And there is where I like to subvert the expectations of the solver. It's like, oh, there's a 9 over here. It's probably in the bulb.
In the bulb, yeah.
If at all possible, well, not all the time, but quite often, if there's an option for it, I will like to choose the less obvious. Not that you can use that as... You can't use the setter meta to get past that, though. You still have to do my puzzles logically, thank you.
I like it, though.
Yeah.
That was a nice little interaction. I like that we used this 3-4 pair twice to sort of eliminate candidates from these cells. And another 3-4 pair to make this a 2 with a 5.
Yeah.
We need 3, 4, and 7 in this row. I'll mark it, but this always has a 1 on it. It's either 1, 2, or 1, 3. Oh, obviously. So the visuals,
yes,
because there's arrows everywhere, and 1 is a very skinny digit. My brain sort of forgot that there was a 1 in this cell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So this puzzle, the version you're solving here was exported from F Puzzles, so it uses the F Puzzles arrows visuals. When you export it from Sudoku Maker, the arrows are a bit thinner, but crucially, the arrow tips are hidden underneath the arrow bulbs, unless you flip a setting. So that you can't actually see which way around the arrows go. It looks a little bit bad. Cosmetics on this puzzle, this was before Sudoku Maker, and the cosmetics on this puzzle were always a concern to me. I would have liked to have lighter arrows, like lighter coloured, so that they don't kind of get in the way of the markings so much, especially on a puzzle where I was initially expecting lots of pencil marks. So I'm glad we've got Sudoku Maker now. It gives us the opportunity to do much more elaborate cosmetics, that not just because they look pretty, but for functional reasons as well. Always worth considering.
You can really get in detail and make all of these arrows non-overlapping.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, go that small in the Sudoku Maker.
So go on. You get it now. You get all the fun.
My 1 that needed to be on this arrow is yellow now, which makes this the 8, 9, 7, 5, 2, 1, 3, 4. Just does everything, pretty much. That's the 6 with the 1, with the 4, with the 5. We get the 3, 4 pair on this side, and the 7 and the 6 on this side.
Yep.
That places 7 in row 8. I'm going to ditch the coloring now.
Yeah, fair enough. You got a row 8, did you?
And then I did. Oh, look at that. There's a 4.
Yeah, well, it's also on an arrow with a 5 in the bulb.
Oh, that too.
I mean, take your pick. Take your pick.
That. All right. So that is my 1, which I had found earlier. My initial guessing was correct, actually.
Yes.
With which way I put it, but obviously it wasn't valid. 9, 7, 4. What do we need? 6 and 3. Don't think I can do that yet.
And now you come to the end game, and as a setter, this is the place I really struggle. I really struggle to figure out what to do, because that fell apart very satisfyingly. I have no problem with how quickly that all resolved, and it's very exciting, and you get a flurry of digits and feel very good about yourself, and I have no problems with any of that. So I didn't want to change anything that I'd done so far, even those 2 very powerful arrows that I'd put in. But it's like, how do I finish this? And I spent so long, I don't know how long, but I spent so long trying to find a really nice finish that, firstly I was looking for something symmetrical, because we've got the break of symmetry now, we don't need to break it again, and I couldn't find anything that wasn't overly simple, because I didn't want it to just be really trivial. I wanted there to still be some interest, which is why we got the arrows that we do. So hopefully you'll find the end of the puzzle to be still interesting, even though there's only 3 rows left. But yeah, I find it, this is my personal thing, that I find finishing puzzles to be really tricky. Yeah.
I do too, because it usually doesn't take a lot to just totally dissolve everything, but the that last push is sometimes finding something that either doesn't totally break earlier logic or bypass it or anything like that, but is also worth doing. is hard sometimes.
Yeah, at this point, I just have to agree with James there. That's an excellent point in the chat. At this point in the puzzle, there's only 190. I say only. It sounds like a lot, but actually, there's only 190 solutions. And when you're using arrows, that drops very quickly. But once again, there was a 4, and so I had to put an arrow through it to make the and a bulb that had to be fairly well. The bulb had to be bigger than that, but there wasn't a lot of opportunity for it to be much bigger. Like the 9 was in the column. I'm talking about the bulb in row 2, column 2 right now. So yeah, I started off by putting the arrow through the 4 to see what would happen. It didn't do a lot by itself, surprisingly. And so I thought I would go symmetrical and see what happened. And that did quite a lot. And suddenly it was...
It wasn't enough.
But it still wasn't enough. That took it down to 8 solutions. And I was like, no, this isn't good. But hopefully the rest of it is interesting. So I'll leave it to you to finish up now.
Sure. So I'm not going to put a 2 in row 1, column 3 because I can't put 4 or 5 in this cell. So 5, 2, and I'll mark that as 1, 2. There is 2 in one of these 2 cells. Although I guess that is true by Sudoku. This is from 137. What's this triple? 1, 3, and 9. What do I need in here? 3, 6, 8, and 9. Well, I'm not planning on making this a 3. Or a 6, because this isn't a 5. Or a 9, because this isn't an 8.
I liked that. I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah. It works. And then... what else do we have? We have another sum to 8. I guess these 2 cells are partially known. They're a 6-4 pair. Can I put a 2 here? No, I can't. So we'll do a double 4. I always
there
like
you go.
arrows that are just the same digit aesthetically.
Yes. I was glad to have a repeating digit in there. That arrow does an awful lot, actually.
Yeah. 8, 7, 1. And then this is 5, 8, 9.
Yeah.
6 and 7. No, not 6 and 7. Try that better. 6 and 9, which is going to resolve all the 9s. 5, 3, and 2.
There you go.
I did it in 11 minutes.
And 11 seconds. That's surprising. Excellent. Well done. Good solve. I want to say a couple of things. What I found interesting is that you don't actually need either of these 2 arrows for it to be unique.
Okay.
But those are the ones I put in first because I wanted to use the 4 and I liked the deduction on the 1. But then the only real way that I could get it even remotely symmetrical at the end was to have these top 2 arrows like this, just because the way the numbers fell out. So I found that actually you didn't need to have those bottom 2 arrows for it to be unique. And in fact, I even found this, which was a little bit painful, where I could have those top two arrows look symmetrical like that, and I got a wonderful deadly pattern, so that made me a bit sad. But yeah, it was, so yeah, this arrow like this, everything's unique, but it was just a bit more of a grindy end to the solve. It was just from, I liked just being able to still use clues, being able to still use logic, rather than just Sudoku. When you're making a variant Sudoku, there is a place to have actual Sudoku in there, and there was an X-wing in here. That's all fine, but when there are clues, people are looking at the clues, and I didn't want it to just end up in a bit of a grind at the end. So the clues help avoid the grind at the end there.
And I think visually too, the whole theme of this puzzle has been this sort of network of connected arrows.
Absolutely.
And just having these last two be part of that network. I guess there's two networks, but
yeah,
it visually, thematically kind of works.
Yes.
It would have felt off, I think, to have these just be floating on their own.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the peddling penis suggestion. An REM rule to resolve the 3-9 deadly pattern. Yeah.
That's my favorite. Always add an extra rule when you want to disambiguate one deadly pattern instead of using the rules you've already used.
How about a given?
Setting advice for today.
How about a given? I could have put a given 3 in the corner just to really upset people. So, no, don't do that. Yeah, I could have put a given 3 in the... No, this was during my no givens phase, which I am no longer in. I am very happy to put givens in puzzles. I think they're very interesting and very useful. Yeah.
I'm very bad at putting useful givens, or givens that do a lot of powerful work, other than just disambiguating at the end.
Yeah. I tell you,
I can appreciate them when they exist.
One of the things that's helped me appreciate givens more is setting competition puzzles, because they're often single constraint. They're designed to be solved quickly, and givens can, and because you sometimes need to set quite a few of them, givens help. Givens just make it easier to kind of progress the solve. And I imagine we might hear more about that, because the next stream on this channel, which will be in early September, is going to be Clover and Philip talking about setting gas, which will give us a peek behind the curtain. It'll be very exciting. But before that comes round, we have... How long have we been going? We've been going a little bit over an hour. I think that's pretty good. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about this puzzle, Scojo?
Nothing that we didn't already cover. Yeah, I do. Personally, I usually wouldn't set a puzzle with so many overlapping clues unless I was in Sudoku Maker and able to cleanly visually separate those clues from each other.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that was sort of the direction this went. I think Chain Link Fence is a really good title for it, actually.
Thank you, yeah.
It does sort of give me that vibe, and everything being chained together, or linked together, I guess.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It just works.
Yeah, the diamond shape in the middle as well, like the chain link fence, tends to have that sort of diamond thing going on.
Partially,
Yeah, I didn't show this earlier, but this was an early draft going for the diamond theme, I was very much kind of, so that you can still see the chains from the bottom, right and left, but I was taking that straight up to the top of the grid there with these diamonds, and just exploring what happened with those. But they're obviously 3-cell arrows, so I decided to that was before I made the final decision to move away from that. But yeah, it was certainly on my mind. That the name of this came very easily. In fact, it was there before I finished solving. As you can see, I was thinking about it, which is why things are linked together. I like naming puzzles most of the time, because most of the time the name just comes very easily. But when it doesn't, it's really hard to name puzzles.
I'm the total opposite. I always struggle to name puzzles, and usually it ends up being something really stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, the overlapping clues thing. It's not. I see a few comments about it in the chat. It's not something I do much. It happened to be a thing for this puzzle, and yeah, I think it worked pretty well, because it creates some interesting interactions that you wouldn't normally get in an arrow puzzle. Because you don't normally have arrows connecting at the midpoint and things like that.
And I mean, that's good too, because I've done hundreds of just plain old arrow puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And to have something that I'm not totally sure how to tackle as soon as I look at it in a puzzle like this, a rule set I've done so many times, it's always refreshing. And definitely those chained arrows create something a little bit fresh to think about. Yeah,
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It would have been rather awkward if you didn't.
I'm actually very easy to please. I enjoy almost all the puzzles I solve. I just like puzzles.
Yeah, we all do. That's why we're here, I think. We're a puzzle.
Don't talk about that puzzle juggler. We don't mention it.
Right, well, I think, unless there's... I don't think there's anything else I wanted to say, other than to thank you very much for joining me on stream. This Anatomy of a Puzzle series is one that I hope will live long. It's a fairly straightforward concept. Setter and solver, discuss a puzzle as it's solved, and thereby hopefully shine light on the processes of setting and of solving. And so if anyone is interested in taking part, then do feel free to contact any of the SudokuCon stream team, the dream team. So that's that's myself, Tallcat, Polfly, and James Sinclair. There we go, in the sneak peek of the next one in chat there. James saying Anatomy of... Oh, and Kathy, thank you, Polfly, thank you, yes. Next Anatomy of a Puzzle episode is on the 20th of September, with James solving a Marty Sears puzzle. But yes, of course, do apologise, Chatty Cathy is also on the stream team. My mind was not thinking.
I see Juggler raising his hand. I would love to see an episode with Juggler explaining his puzzles.
Yeah, well, get in touch. And yes, before that next Anatomy of a Puzzle episode, there will be, as I mentioned earlier, a stream with the gas team. Well, 2/3 of the gas team, because of time zone issues. Bill is in Australia, so it's a little difficult to get everything synced up. But Clover and Philip will, I'm sure, entertain us, and I think Tallcat is hosting. I think. So get ready for fireworks. And with that, I think thank you everyone for joining us for the stream. Really appreciate it. Shout out to SudokuCon as an organisation. It's got its own Discord. You can join it. There's a SudokuCon website, which you can find all the socials and all the links. There's the YouTube channel, which has footage from the last, from many different flavours of SudokuCon, the virtual one that we had for a couple of years, and then the real in-person one that was in Boston in earlier this year. I was going to say last year, but no, it's still this year. So there's lots to see, and if you want to get involved, join the Discord. And there's a link to the Discord. Go wild. Excellent. And thank you very much, Scojo. I really appreciate, and I've really enjoyed spending this bit over an hour with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.